Although I feel like Festivus got started early last night. There was some airing of grievances on Hunter Dickinson, Michigan big man, who got worked by Armando Bacot last night, UNC big man.
Wait a second. There's been a lot of hand-wringing about Carolina basketball.
There has been.
They haven't won as many games as they were supposed to, being the #1 team in the country. Without looking at the box score, because I only looked at the half.
Sure.
You're telling me now, because I'm a little bit, I don't know anything about basketball. Remember, I don't know anything about sports. I don't know anything about Christmas. I don't know anything about Christmas songs. I don't know anything about whatever. But let me look at this box score and think of this way. Did Carolina's 3 best players finally show up on the same day last night? Weird. Really weird. Do your best players have to be your best players, Joe? Huh. I never would have come up with that. Ever. So Caleb Love, RJ Davis, and Armando Bacot all showed up, and Carolina won a big game. Wow. Never would have come up with that. But, you know, let's hand-wring over Hubert can't coach, Hubert can't recruit, Carolina's schedule's this, they can't do that, they miss this guy, they miss that guy. No, dude, your best players have to be, stop me if you've ever heard this before, your best players. Weird. Odd. I'm stunned. I'm shocked.
You working through some things today?
No, not at all.
You're very fired up today.
I am.
You know, Festivus is tomorrow.
I don't care.
Do you want to air grievances?
I don't have a calendar.
Do you want to? You don't.
As you know.
Yeah.
What happened? I was in here doing Adam. So what happened?
I am
because we haven't spent
floored because it just I thought Hubert couldn't coach. I thought it was, you know.
Well, okay.
There's something wrong with the culture of Carolina basketball and NIL and whatever else.
Well,
and then all of a sudden their 3 best players were their 3 best players.
Let me posit this when it comes to the Tar Heels, right? And this would be my concern. If we're going to lay out concerns.
Yeah.
Hubert Davis challenged them at halftime this past weekend against Ohio State. All right. Because that first half was garbage. All right. And Hubert Davis, not for lack of a better term, based on what the sideline reporter said at halftime, Hubert Davis called him soft. And Hubert Davis after the game said, yeah, they got what I was telling them.
Which he knows is the magic word. We saw this with Jeff Capel last year, or Jason Capel, excuse me.
Yes.
When he, basically taunted them after Pitt beat them at the Smith Center.
Yes, this is a carryover effect from the Tar Heels. So, Michigan went into that game yesterday kind of thinking the same thing, I believe. Like the rep on
the big bad Big Ten team.
The big bad Big Ten team with Hunter Dickinson, who's more of a, bark is louder than his actual bite. This is 2 games now that Hunter Dickinson has gone up against Armando Bacot and has been worked against North Carolina. Last December, same thing, and then now this one in the Jumpman Invitational. But Hunter Dickinson was also part of an interesting scene that did we get quadruple text last night? It was quadruple tech, right? Where he decided to knee Caleb Love in the face and then act like he didn't do anything. Like what, Caleb, why are you upset? And everybody got up. Caleb Love's got mad, everything else. And then there was a spark after that by the Tar Heels after Hunter Dickinson went full Hunter Dickinson on the Tar Heels. So this is all a setup to ask the question. Does Carolina need to be poked? Because as you mentioned, Jason Capel, when the Pitt game happened and there was what was said, and that was kind of the book on this UNC team. Other teams know this. Is this the response? Do they have to be put in this position? Do they need Hubert Davis to be like, hey, guys, let's go? Or Hunter Dickinson went after our guy. Or I'm motivated to stunt because we're at the Jumpman Invitational and Roy's there, MJ's there, all that stuff, right? You like to call sunny day teams from time to time, but we also know in basketball there are teams that really show out when they know the cameras are on. Now, there's some distinction between
lights are on,
sunny day players or when the lights are on.
Yeah.
We've seen this in triangle basketball schools for years and years and years. There were certain players when they knew the ESPN cameras were rolling, when they knew it was a marquee event, they were there for it. What's going to happen when it's not that? That would be my only question for the Tar Heels so far in terms of a consistency of showing that out for a team that is poised to make a national championship run.
I'll say this for Carolina, and we questioned legitimately whether this was a team that got hot at the end of last year at the right time and rode a rocket of confidence after the win in Cameron to the national championship game. Is that the team they were, or the one that started the year last year and kind of floundered around and quite frankly would not have been an NCAA tournament team until they beat Duke in Cameron? Okay? The 2 games that Carolina just had, in my opinion, were must-win games. They were show-me games.
Yep.
Michigan and Ohio State. Not for the NCAA tournament, but for their own confidence, their own psyche. Yes, they needed a late play on a set called Winner from Pete Nance. Great call, by the way, by Carolina's bench. They get the game to overtime. They win the game. Needed that. Michigan, last night, you mentioned, we're going to bully you a little bit. Juwan Howard, by the way, you think I potentially have anger issues.
Juwan, man.
Juwan Howard, you need to. You make way too much money to have anger issues, dude. You got to simmer a little bit.
I think that actually ties into the fake toughness of Michigan. It all goes back to Juwan Howard. It almost feels like he has to show out too to overcome a little bit of fake toughness from his own team. But
they're a good team though.
They are,
and that was an important win for Carolina. Now you look at it, and you go, look, hey man, they got to go to Pitt. I wouldn't sneeze at Pitt because Pitt's going to remember. Pitt's going to remember they beat them last year, and they know how to beat them.
But to your point, Carolina is going to remember what was said last year.
And they should.
And I feel like this Pitt game is going to be – you're absolutely right, and I'm in complete agreement with the Ohio State game and the Michigan game being show-me games. Now I'm going to see if the Tar Heels have that dog in them. That's been like the 2022 phrase du jour. You got that dog in you? Okay. I'll be curious to see if this team has it against Pitt that has every reason to smush them based on what they said last year. Because remember, that Pitt loss was the one where even I was like, forget it. This team ain't making the NCAA tournament.
This Carolina team is the easiest team in the history to evaluate.
Yes.
Okay? Baycott against Indiana, which he was hurt. He had 12 points. That's not enough. Okay? It's not enough. Last night, Baycott, Love, and Davis combined for 79% of their offense. And they needed all of it. But guess what? When those guys are on and those guys cook, they're going to win games. When they're not, by the way, guess what? They're not going to win. It's just really that simple with Carolina.
The question is to get consistency out of it. The question is how do they stay fired up, so to speak. Here's Hubert Davis, who absolutely loves when the guys are fired up.
I'm an emotional guy. And so just trying to get our guys to they were getting fired up, I was getting fired up, and I like them when they are fired up and wanted to keep them fired up. And so it was nothing more than encouraging them and motivating them to be at their best and play as hard as they could.
That's Hubert Davis, UNC head basketball coach, and there's been a concerted effort to get the offense to go through Baycott. To Giglio's point, when he's involved, when he's good, chances are Carolina's going to be good. Here's Davis on, once again, Baycott getting fed the ball a lot more.
When we came back from our road trips and we had a little bit of time to practice, and I said, we were going to look at things and tweak and alter and pivot some things. And one of the things that we tweaked is like we have to feed him the ball. Like, it has to go inside out as opposed to outside in. And that's just really energized him. And when we come down the floor, like, our first, second, third option is to throw the ball down low to him. And I think at the beginning of the year, it may not have been the first option, or we gave him one look and then we went away. Now we're giving him multiple looks, and he's playing extremely well.
Let's hear what Davis, head coach North Carolina, last night after the win against Michigan.